who took the money, she knows, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because that can be traced. The only thing she can't trace its use into the economy.
Yeah.
But how it left Treasury, she knows.
She knows.
Actually, she's asking Mbadi to account for this money, isn't it? Because it's the CS Treasury. But as you know now, and if you look at even what my brother Okiya Mtata is saying, is that there's a need for separation when William Ruto is the president between National Treasury and the Minister for Finance, isn't it? The thing is that during Moi's time, Moi could call the commissioner for KRA to meet him on Mombasa Road with the bags of the money collected from KRA. Bags you carry and you bring, isn't it? But we transform our structure of financing before, whereby the president has no access. But now, the members of parliament we have now should not even talk in front of us telling us that there's something wrong with the Treasury, because they have the powers to impeach him.
I said it much earlier that the e-citizens owned by William Ruto. William Ruto, there's a house in where all the e-citizen software developers are operating from. All the service providers on the back end of the e-citizen is owned. And I made a press statement in Jivanji Garden. And I said Safaricom needs to reveal these things because Safaricom knows. You understand me?
Yeah.
Because Safaricom, all the money passes through PesaFlow, isn't it?
Yeah.
PesaFlow was developed by Kenyans. Also, Ruto took those Kenyans who own the PesaFlow and told them to give him 40% shares in that company. If not, they don't receive their money. Because once you want to get your money from the system, to get your commission, you must also refer to the state. So the whole thing is owned by him. Fellow Kenyans, I'm Professor Fred Ogolla. I'm the leader of Alternative Leaders Forum. The country is facing a leadership crisis. And the why we are saying the country is facing a leadership crisis is that the head of state has gone to what is called non-priority talks, non-priority trips, non-priority engagement. Because if a head of state can forget about what is ailing the state, what is urgent, and start talking about a machine for printing chapatis, then there's a crisis. Because I'm sure that Kenya is a very respected country. And when the headlines looks like the president who is to launch a machine for printing chapati, then you should know very well that Kenya is losing its respect. They have killed Kenyans' reputation in foreign mission, in the diplomatic foreign mission, especially with the AU campaign, which was very shambolic, and now they are even ruining it much further domestically. There are three things which are very important in the country at the moment. One is the economy is suffering. There is low economic activity. No one is no one is selling anything in this country that is getting enough people buying them, because of the fact that there is no money in Kenyan's pocket, and the current administration has no solution to that. Why I'm saying so, I've read the budget policy statement written by CS Mbadi, and it says that they are lowering the interest rate so that Kenyans can have money in their pocket. Well, I'm an economist, and I can tell you that that is not based on the current economic context, because of the following. 19 million Kenyans are on CRB. So even if you lower interest rates to zero, they are not able to put money in their pocket, because if you are on CRB, you don't qualify to borrow money. So how will money come to your pocket if 19 million Kenyans are on CRB? That's 66% of the Kenyan adult population. The second thing is that more than 50% of Kenyans who took Hustler Fund has faulted, meaning again, they cannot be able to borrow money if you can't even qualify for 500 shillings Hustler Fund. The lowest amount of loan a bank can give is around 10, 20,000. How can you qualify for 10, 20,000 if you can't qualify for 500 shillings? Also, we know very well that there is a high level of non-performing loans. So the economic policy for John Mbadi does not work, because he's still using Rutonomics. Rutonomics is bottom-up economic model, which doesn't work. And I said in 2020, I said in 2021, that bottom-up economic model is an experiment. with Kenya because it has never worked anywhere. It is working nowhere, and it won't work in Kenya. We are 2 years and a half down the line, and it's not working. So who do you want to believe? Between me and William Ruto, who do you want to believe? I have published a book called Solomonic Economics, which explains exactly what is the problem. And I've also talked about what is the solution. And let me tell you, Kenya has two economic problems. One, we have a high rate of debt servicing. We are putting around 70 cents per every shilling we collect to pay debt. Secondly, we are having low economic activity, meaning that no one is buying no one. You are selling maize, you are selling charcoal, you are selling more second-hand clothes, you are selling electronics, you are selling computers, you are selling books, you are selling anything. People are only consuming basic necessities. In fact, some people are not even buying for their children new uniforms. They are no one buying new clothes for their children because you just say, let them just cycle, because so long as they are eating and sleeping, that's what you can do. How can economy thrive like that? How will Nyamakimwa thrive in that way? How will Gikomba thrive? How will Mudurwa market thrive? How will Ngara market thrive? And how will other markets throughout the country thrive? If that is the thing. Even if you go to a market, the market we talk about in Mombasa. So there's a low economic activity. So with these two problems, you cannot solve them by lowering interest rate only. You need other mechanisms. So that will not work. It has never worked, and therefore it won't work for Kenya. What is the solution that I think needs to be done? Instead of raising interest, we need to lower the interest rates in Kenya. Instead of raising the taxes, we need to lower the taxes. As we lower taxes, what we need to do is to ensure that we put stimulus in the economy. This economy in Kenya has no stimulus at all. One, you pay taxes, then you go to hospital and pay for your healthcare on your own, so there's no stimulus. You pay for school fees on your own. So the president could have declared free primary education and free secondary education so that the money Kenyans are spending in education can now be taken to go and be like a stimulus package in the economy. Because I've done research and found out that Kenya has 12.5 million households in Kenya. Every household has 3.4 children per household. And they spend 63,000 shillings per child per household. That takes us to 263,000 shillings per household per year. And annually means for all household, which is I told you is 12,500,000, it means that all households in Kenya spends 2.84 trillion per year on education. So should the president declare free primary education, that will automatically inject 2.84 trillion to economy as stimulus. Because if you are paying school fees with 250,000 shillings a year, and someone pays that school fees for you, then that money find use elsewhere, so you can buy something from somebody. Even that chapati being printed cannot be bought if no one has money in their pocket. So that solves the issue of low economic activity. Debt, I can tell you, we should just default on this debt, restructure this debt, and not pay, because most of them are odious debts. There's a case in court we've taken to for debt review, and the judges don't want to expedite in the case. So the economy is suffering, and I can see members of parliament. I can tell you guys, Kenyans, that's why I'm asking young people, go and run for MP of Kenya. Go and run for members of parliament, because the members of parliament don't know economics. Let me tell you evidence they don't know economics. The budget was proposed to be 2.3 trillion. Then they said it should be taken to 4.0 trillion because of budget deficit. As an economist, there's a positive correlation between budget deficit and economic growth. I give you evidence that Kenyan budget deficit GDP is 3.1%. China, it is 4.9% to GDP. The US, it is 6.1% to GDP. So how come Chinese economy, which is doing much better, employing young people more than Kenyan economy, has higher deficit to GDP? How comes America, where all of us want to go and live, have a higher deficit to GDP than Kenya? I remember, we are not talking about a small economy of Kenya, which is around $117 million. The Chinese economy is $17.8 trillion. So if it is a budget deficit of 4.9%, that is like the whole of the Kenyan GDP. So the point I'm trying to draw across here is that the person in charge of the economy, the person who has the pulses of the economy in his hands, has no clue how to run the economy. They don't know how to budget in a way that they can grow the economy, but they only budget for corruption. Instead of offering free primary education and secondary education and offering free healthcare, because in the constitution, Kenya is a social democracy. In the Bill of Rights, education should be free in a social democracy. Healthcare should be free. If you offer free healthcare and free education, Kenyans will have money in their pocket. But if you don't offer that, children get sick every 2 days. You're going to hospital. This one is coughing. Now there's school. That one is, I don't know, having temperature every day. How can you be spending this money at that rate and be able to have money in your pocket, even to save? You can't save money. You cannot invest money. So everybody is borrowing, including the government borrowing, but government is borrowing and eating the money. So for me, there's a leadership crisis Kenyans might want. Let no one tell you they still need more time. Even if you give these guys 1 million years, they have no clue on what to do. They have no clue. They're just staggering and slippering and nothing else. They cannot run this economy. We were told that Mbadi was a team expert that came from Railas to solve this thing. I can tell William Ruto, the only person who can save you is Kenyans. Mark my words. Handshaking Railas won't save you. The only person who can save you in 2027 is Kenyans. Why? Handshake Kenyans now, you'll be the next president in 2027. Give them free healthcare. That's what I mean by handshake. Handshake is not about shaking my hand. Give Kenyans free education. That will handshake Kenyans. Ensure that the money you borrow is working for Kenyans. Ensure the taxes that you tax Kenyans is working for them. That will take you back. But this one, you can stay on top of the vehicles in the whole of Embakasi, Isili, Kawangware, everywhere. No one is listening, Mr. President. Mr. President, go to State House. Sit down in your office, in fact, around the house, and find a formula which I've given you on how to give free primary education and free secondary education. Anything else will not give it, because Kenyans don't want you. Even if Jesus Christ escorts you to Nyanza province, they reject you. Because if Kenyans cannot get what they are looking for, even Jesus will be told must go. So if you do not budge to what I'm saying, Mr. President, mark my words, in 2027, we are taking over as young people because we know what is needed. We don't want history. Railas is a great guy with history, but we need knowledge of the current economic context. We don't need someone to tell us about history in 1964. We don't want, here is now that we want to have someone who can understand. So we are very clear that the problem is that, and then lastly, the second problem is that without security in Kenya, without people being assured that they can wake up in the morning, go to work and come back safely, the economy doesn't grow, because without security, no one works. People are coming back coming back home too early. An economy that shuts down too early is an economy which is dying. Nairobi, people are sleeping earlier and people are waking up later. In the right side of the economy, people used to wake up very early because there's something to do. And they used to stay up late because there's something to do. Now I've done statistics. You can reach Nairobi CBD by 7 from my house here in 5-10 minutes. If you leave your house before 6:30, you are in traffic. Kenyans have no need to go to town because there's no business going on in town. Kenyans leave town very early because there's nothing to do. Like now around 2 p.m., people start going home. By 3 p.m., people start going, because there's nothing to do apart from people who are idling there. Mr. President, be worried that you have so many people coming to your crusade to tell you uongo. Imagine you are not paying them to tell you that. Imagine they're leaving their work, they're leaving their home, they are working, sacrificing their fare to come and tell you uongo. if there's anybody to get feedback from, it's Kenyans, not those people around you. Not even Raila Odinga, not even people from ODM. For Raila Odinga, mine is to tell you simple, that we respect you as a leader. Dear to us, you are, but dearer is the truth. And the truth is not what William Ruto wants to do. We also want to tell you, you won't help him. I know you want to help him. You help former presidents, but this one cannot be helped. And the earlier you know that, the better. Thank you.
Professor, my first question in regards to everything that you have spoken about is about Honorable Cabinet Secretary of Treasury, Mbadi.
Yes.
Recently, the budget controller, Margaret Nyakango, revealed that an amount of 1.3 trillion was missing. The money had been taken manually from the Treasury and can't be traced where it had gone. The money was supposed to be used to pay debts. But literally, as Kenyans, when we look around the economy, if that money was pumped into the economy, there would be changes. 1.3 trillion is a lot of money. What is your take in regards to that and the missing 1.3 trillion? And what could that amount of money be used to do for Kenyans?
First of all, that money can be traced. What Nyakango simply meant is that it cannot be accounted for. But there is a way how that money came. See, all taxes Kenyans pay. She knows how the money came to Treasury, isn't it? But she doesn't know who took the money. She knows, isn't it? Because that can be traced. The only thing she can't trace its use into the economy. But how it left Treasury, she knows.
She knows.
Actually, she's asking Mbadi to account for this money, isn't it? Because it's the CS Treasury. But as you know now, and if you look at even what my brother Ogolla Of Prof is saying, is that there's a need for separation when William Ruto is the president between National Treasury and the Minister for Finance, isn't it? The thing is that during Moi's time, Moi could call the commissioner for KRA to meet him on Mombasa Road with the bags of the money collected from KRA. Bags you carry and you bring, isn't it? But we transform our structure of financing before, whereby the president has no access. But now, the members of parliament we have now should not even talk in front of us telling us that there's something wrong with the Treasury, because they have the powers to impeach him. They have the powers to pass laws to stop him. And they're not doing it. That's why I'm even telling the likes of Ogolla Of Prof, I'm telling you the likes of the senator for Kisii, Onyonka. We have had your speeches, isn't it?
Yes.
But what is happening now? Go to Senate and pass a bill to block this thing. All senators who are saying Ruto is bad like Sifuna, we don't want to hear speeches. Go and act in the Senate. Members of parliament who come to make speeches to sympathize with Kenyans who are dying of hunger, who are dying because of healthcare, they need to do it. So what is happening is that I can tell you, the president has received all intelligence in the country. Who appoints the spy master of the country is the president, isn't it? So he knows. So it's not that he cannot be trusted. He knows where the money is. So let us ask the person who knows where the money is, which is President William Ruto. He knows where the money is and should be asked to account for this money. And if not, he needs to leave office, because that is a serious violation of the Constitution. But of course, when you go further, let me ask you. I've told you to offer free primary education and secondary education. You need 2.84 trillion a year, isn't it?
Yeah.
Times twice that money is enough to ensure there is no Kenyan who pays school fees. But since William Ruto became president, he has borrowed 8.6 trillion shillings, and there is no single project going on in the country. No project, single.
How much has Ruto borrowed since he entered into office?
8.2 trillion.
8.2 trillion is the money that Ruto has borrowed.
Yes, and he has not done it. If you get that money, every Kenyan will go to school and pay no school fees. Every Kenyan will go to hospital and get treated with paying nothing. All teachers will be paid. All doctors will be paid. All pending bills will be paid. All pending wages will be paid. All roads in Kenya will be tarmacked. All schools will be built with the tarmac, with the carpet, and tiles on the floor, with the windows, with cabros, and it will be lit with electricity. All laboratories in Kenya will have been put in place and still will go back with some change. That's what it means. They have stolen the whole country.
Apart from the statement made by the budget co-patroller, we also have a statement that was recently made by one Auditor General Nancy Gabongo in regards to the ownership of SHA and SHIF, where she said that even Kenya as a government does not own the system that controls SHA and SHIF. Apart from that, she also told us that the country does not own e-citizen.
So I said it much earlier that the e-citizen is owned by William Ruto. William Ruto, there's a house in where all the e-citizen software developers are operating from. All the service providers on the back end of the e-citizen is owned. And I made a press statement in Jivanji Garden. And I said Safaricom needs to reveal these things because Safaricom knows. You understand me?
Yeah.
Because Safaricom, all the money passes through PesaFlow, isn't it? Yeah. PesaFlow was developed by Kenyans. Also, Ruto took those Kenyans who own the PesaFlow and told them to give him 40% shares in that company. If not, they don't receive their money. Because once you want to get your money from the system, to get your commission, you must also refer to the state. So the whole thing is owned by him. William Ruto knows how he owns it, isn't it? And that money coming from e-citizen is the money being used for bribing the MPs. Because once the money has come from e-citizen, the money used to be collected and then is given to Ichungwa. The Ichungwa carries this money in sacks and bribes the MPs. And that's why MPs are passing any bill he wants. And that's why MPs cannot impeach the president. This president is not the president of Kenya. He is only there because of money. The commercial viability that he can give money to people himself and directly. And that's why he's putting his hand directly in Treasury. So that he takes the money and give you. If these MPs are not given money even for one day, they'll impeach him. And the MPs are very cheap, fellow Kenyans. Some of them receive even 50,000 shillings to attend those meetings. You're seeing people attending in Isli. Some of them receive between 50 or 100,000 shillings. Can you imagine you elect an MP who campaign using 300 million to be given 50 to 100,000? But I can understand because that's why the battle is in State House, is in Parliament. Who chairs which committee? Because by the MPs normally take 2 mortgages with their salary. When you take 2 mortgages, as must pay for 5 years, the whole amount of money goes into mortgages, isn't it? Their salaries go to the mortgages. But what they get is that by the end of the 5 years, they have a house in Nairobi, another one in the rural village, or somewhere else, isn't it? Or sometimes in Mombasa. Yeah. But they stay broke. So once they stay broke, then you get bought cheaply to do whatever it is. You want to pass a bill, you want to impeach somebody, or you want to be kept quiet. That's why there's a battle that who chairs the budget committee, who chairs disciplinary committees, the public account committee, because people are bribed. The parliament is a scene of crime. That's why we entered parliament to show them we have actually control and overthrown parliament. According to us, the institution is not legitimate because it is a scene of crime. People are just being bought and getting money. So the statements here are very clear that the e-citizen is not owned. The SHA, all these things. President William Ruto's one single project was to become richer than any other president that has ever been in Kenya. You see, land is being taken to a high rate to compete with the other people who own land. For them, they built their land over time, but for him, he wants to get it in 5 years. President Moi was president for 24 years. Ruto wants to achieve more than Moi achieved in 24 years. Now, when it comes now to the e-citizen, Ruto knows that you can make money through transaction little by little. Like e-citizen, the 50 bob you pay as commission whenever you do any transaction. That money goes to who? To William Ruto. There's an office they have. Actually, there's a building in Karen which is being managed as the back end. There are 7 companies in the back end of each citizen. So I have these numbers. I'll share with you the link to get the information that I said in James. At that time, I had everything at the record. So what I'm trying to say is that the president wants to own everything. Even affordable housing is about land. Affordable housing is about transactions. There is nothing going on to build Mwananchi. They are building themselves. And he wants all this money to buy elected officials. Because when he buys elected officials, Ruto's strategy normally thinks that if you buy elected officials, then you buy citizens. Because, for example, if you remember Parliament of Kagema, Ruto believes that if he buys you, then he has the whole of Kagema behind you. And he used this strategy before. When he was campaigning against Raila Odinga in 2022, he ensured that he bought Rigathi was with him. Ichungwa was with him. Ndindi Nyoro was with him. You can name them. All the MPs of Mount Kenya were campaigning for William Ruto, and therefore he won the election. Because that worked, he also believes that even if citizens are hungry, they are dying in hospital, isn't it? And that there is no education. So long as he buys the member of parliament, the MP, the senator, and the rest, he believes he has the city. So that's why he does not bother. And to keep these people happy every day, because these people, they operate with what is called prostitution model, isn't it? You give me today, I give you today. You don't give me tomorrow, I don't give you tomorrow. So for everything is a transaction. But you know, he can't convince people to love him. Tell me who loves William Ruto for him in this country, just loving him, that I love you, William. I have people love Raila Odinga for Raila. Hata afanye nini, wanampenda, sivyo? I have people love Uhuru for Uhuru. Me, I'm here a die-hard lover of Kibaki, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you know, Gen Zs came and loved him even when he died, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is there anybody who would love Ruto beyond his death? Do you know what people can celebrate the most in this country? No, I'm telling you. Do you know what people can celebrate the most in this country?
Yeah.
If you hear breaking news. I remember when I was doing my studies in Spain, there used to be, I had the story of Franco, who was a dictator in Spain. So there's a day Franco was flying over Spain, over Catalonia, which is a city that don't like in Barcelona city, because he was from Spanish side. These guys are from Catalonia side. When he was flying over, so he was carrying a €100 note. So he asked his pilot, if I drop this €100 note in Catalonia, these people will celebrate a lot. Then his pilot told him, no. Their celebration will be if you are the one who dropped down from the sky. So between the 1.3 trillion that you are talking about dropping from the sky and William Ruto dropping from the sky, which one will Kenyans celebrate more? You ask me. You have an answer for yourself, isn't it?
Yeah.
I know what I can't celebrate money, but I can just celebrate the end of dictatorship. Yeah.